You don't remember, but your body does before you learn to speak, before you formed conscious memories. Something happened, something that shaped who you would become for the rest of your life. Carl Jung spent decades investigating the origins of narcissism, and he uncovered something disturbing. The deepest roots take hold in the first 2 years of life, a period you can't recall. This means that many people carry wounds they don't even know they have, wounds that occurred before language, before conscious memory, before any capacity to process what was happening. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what happens in early childhood that creates narcissists. I'll explain why these wounds are so difficult to heal, and I'll give you tools to access and process damage you don't even remember suffering. If you feel an emptiness that no achievement fills, this video might finally explain why. Let's start with the basics. What happens in the first 2 years of life? In the first few months, the baby has no concept of being separate from its mother. To the baby, mother and baby are one. This fusion is normal and necessary. The baby depends completely on the mother for survival. Gradually, the baby begins to perceive that the mother is separate, that she comes and goes, that there's a world beyond the mother. This process of separation and individuation, as Jung called it, is crucial. If it happens in a healthy way, the child develops a stable sense of self, knows who they are, knows they exist independently of others. If it happens in a traumatic way, the child develops what Jung called a narcissistic wound, a wound at the core of their being, a feeling that something is fundamentally wrong. And this wound becomes the foundation of narcissism. Now let me show you how these wounds form. The first way is emotional absence. The baby needs more than food and shelter. It needs emotional connection. It needs the mother to look into its eyes, to smile when it smiles, to respond to its cues. When the baby cries and the mother responds with care and attention, something happens in the baby's brain. It learns that the world is safe, that its needs will be met, that it matters. When the baby cries and no one comes, or when someone comes but is emotionally absent, something different happens. The baby learns that the world is not safe, that it doesn't matter, that it's alone. A mother can be physically present but emotionally absent. She can feed the baby mechanically while thinking about other things. She can change diapers without ever looking into the child's eyes. The baby feels this absence. Even without words, it knows that something is wrong. Jung observed that babies of emotionally absent mothers develop a void at the center of their being, a feeling of not existing completely, a desperate need to be seen that is never satisfied. In adulthood, this person constantly seeks attention, needs to be the center of attention, does anything to be noticed. It looks like vanity. It looks like an inflated ego. But it's actually the wounded child still trying to be seen by their mom. The second way is inconsistency. Babies need predictability. They need to know that when they cry, their mom will come, that when they're hungry, they'll be fed, that the world makes sense when the mother is inconsistent, sometimes present and loving, sometimes absent and cold. The baby can't form a coherent picture of the world. It doesn't know what to expect, doesn't know if it's loved or not, doesn't know if it's safe or not. This uncertainty creates chronic anxiety. The child becomes hypervigilant, learns to read every signal from the mother to try to predict what's coming. In adulthood, this person has difficulty trusting, always expects betrayal, constantly tests their partners to see if they'll abandon them, and paradoxically, their own actions frequently cause the abandonment they so fear. The cycle repeats. The third way is intrusion. Some mothers can't respect the baby's boundaries, can't allow it to be separate. They pick up the baby when it doesn't want to be picked up, feed it when it's not hungry, stimulate it when it needs rest. They do this with the best intentions. Want to be perfect mothers. Want to give their child everything. But the result is that the baby never learns to self-regulate, never develops a sense of where it ends and the mother begins, never becomes a separate individual. Jung called this engulfment. The mother absorbs the baby into her own identity. In adulthood, this person has difficulty with boundaries, doesn't know how to say no, feels responsible for everyone's emotions, gets lost in relationships. And when someone tries to get too close, they panic, because proximity means disappearance, means losing themselves. The fourth way is distorted mirroring. In the early years, the baby sees itself through the mother's eyes. The mother's face is its first mirror. If the mother looks with love and delight, the baby feels lovable and charming. If the mother looks with disappointment, irritation, or indifference, the baby feels defective. This initial mirroring forms the basis of self-esteem, not what you achieve, not what you do, but how you were looked at in the early years. When the mother mirrors in a distorted way, the child develops a distorted image of itself, may feel too special if the mother idealized it, may feel worthless if the mother belittled it. Both are narcissism. One is grandiose, the other is covert, but the root is the same, a broken mirror in early childhood. In adulthood, this person doesn't know who they really are, oscillates between feeling superior and inferior, depends on external validation to know their worth. Now let me explain something crucial. Why are these wounds so difficult to heal? There are three main reasons. The first reason is that they're pre-verbal. These wounds occurred before language. You have no words for them. You can't think about them or talk about them in the normal way. They're stored in the body, not in the conscious mind. They appear as sensations, as anxiety, as muscle tension, as inexplicable panic. Traditional therapy, which works with words and conscious memories, often fails to reach them. The second reason is that they're the foundation. These wounds aren't something that happened to you. They're the foundation upon which you built yourself, your sense of identity, your relationship patterns, your way of seeing the world. Everything was built on this damaged foundation. Healing means rebuilding from scratch, means questioning everything you thought you knew about yourself. That's terrifying. Most people prefer the known pain to the unknown. The third reason is that they seem normal. You don't know another way to be. If you've always felt empty, you assume that's how everyone feels. If you've always desperately sought validation, you think it's normal. You don't perceive the wound because you've never known the alternative. It's like a fish that doesn't know it's in water. Now let me explain more about how the body stores these memories. This is something that Carl Jung intuited long before neuroscience confirmed it. He realized that the unconscious wasn't just psychological, it was also corporal. It was in the body. When something traumatic happens before the formation of language, the trauma is stored differently, not as a story you can tell, but as a sensation in the body. The baby doesn't have the capacity to process experiences narratively. Their brain hasn't yet developed the necessary structures for that. The hippocampus, responsible for organizing memories into temporal sequences, is immature immature, but the body registers everything. The amygdala, responsible for emotional memories, is fully functional from birth. It records every experience of fear, abandonment, helplessness. These memories are called implicit memories, You don't remember them consciously, but they influence everything you do, think, and feel. The nervous system registers everything, every moment of emotional absence, every failure of attunement, every experience of not being seen. These records are encoded in the muscles, in the breathing, in the posture, in the automatic reactions. That's why many people with early wounds have physical problems without a clear medical cause. Chronic headaches, digestive issues, constant muscle tension. The body is screaming what the mind can't remember. And that's also why seemingly innocuous situations can trigger intense reactions. A specific tone of voice, a look, a slight rejection. The body recognizes something that the conscious mind doesn't register, and it reacts as if the original danger were happening now. This explains why so many people feel out of control of their own emotions. It's not weakness. It's not a lack of discipline. It's the nervous system reacting to a threat that no longer exists. But that was never processed. Jung understood this intuitively. He talked about how the unconscious communicates through the body, about how physical symptoms often carry psychological messages. Today, neuroscience confirms what Jung intuited. We know that the brain of a baby who doesn't receive adequate emotional care develops differently. The areas responsible for emotional regulation don't form correctly. This isn't a death sentence. The brain is plastic. It can be reconfigured at any age, but it requires specific work that goes beyond conversation. Now let me tell you about the specific types of narcissism that emerge from these early wounds. It's important to understand that narcissism isn't just one thing. There are different manifestations, different masks that the same pain can wear. Carl Jung was one of the first to realize that behind seemingly opposite behaviors, the same wound could exist. The arrogant and the timid could have the same root. Grandiosity and self-deprecation were just different sides of the same coin. Let me show you the four main types. The first type is the grandiose narcissist. This is the type most people think of when they hear narcissism. The person who seems to have a huge ego, who talks about themselves constantly, who needs to be the center of attention. Jung observed that this type often comes from wounds of emotional absence. The baby wasn't seen, so the adult compensates by seeking to be seen obsessively. Inside the grandiose, there's a child crying silently, hoping someone will finally look. The second type is the covert narcissist. This is harder to identify. The person doesn't seem arrogant. They seem timid, insecure, even victimized. But underneath, the same dynamic exists, the same need for validation, the same inability to regulate emotions, the same difficulty with true intimacy. Jung observed that this type often comes from wounds of negative, distorted mirroring. The baby was seen, but seen with disappointment, so the adult feels fundamentally inadequate. Inside the covert, there's a child who learned that their existence is a disappointment. The third type is the somatic narcissist. This type focuses obsessively on the body, on appearance, on health, on physical performance. It seems like vanity, but Jung realized it was something deeper, an attempt to control the body that carries intolerable memories, a way to feel real through the physical. Inside the somatic, there's a child who couldn't inhabit their body safely. The fourth type is the cerebral narcissist. This type focuses obsessively on the intellect, on degrees, on mental achievements. They despise the body and emotions. Jung observed that this often comes from emotional wounds that led the person to take refuge in the mind. If the body is dangerous, the mind is safe. Inside the cerebral, there's a child who had to abandon half of themselves to survive. All these types have the same root. Wounds in the early years, absence, inconsistency, intrusion, or distorted mirroring. The manifestation is different, but the pain is the same. Now let me tell you about a case that Carl Jung described. A 50-year-old man sought out Jung with chronic depression. He had everything that society says brings happiness: money, status, family. But he felt an emptiness that nothing filled. Traditional therapy wasn't working. He analyzed his childhood and found nothing wrong. His parents were present, educated, providers. Jung realized that the problem wasn't in the conscious memories. It was before them. They began to investigate the first 2 years of life. Through photos, documents, conversations with relatives, they reconstructed the story. They discovered that the mother had suffered severe postpartum depression. For almost a year, she could barely take care of herself, much less the baby. Physically, the baby was fed and cared for. The grandparents and other family members ensured that, but emotionally, he was alone. No substitute could offer what the mother couldn't give. The mother was there, but wasn't there. Her body was present, but her eyes were empty. She held the baby, but didn't see him, didn't smile back, didn't respond to his sounds and movements. The man had no memory of this. 50 years later, he couldn't remember anything from that period, but his body remembered. Every cell remembered. The emptiness he felt was the echo of that first year of emotional loneliness. The feeling of not existing completely was the mark left by a mother who couldn't see him. It's interesting that your parents recovered. Your mother overcame her depression. She became a loving and present mom. But the damage from those early months was already done. The foundation was already compromised. The therapeutic work was different from usual. It wasn't about understanding intellectually. It was about feeling in your body what couldn't be remembered in your mind. It was a long and painful process, but slowly something began to change. The emptiness started to be filled, not with more achievements or external validation, but with something deeper, with the experience of finally being seen. Now, let me show you signs that you might have early childhood wounds. First sign: you feel a chronic existential emptiness. It's not sadness for something specific. It's a feeling that something fundamental is missing. Like you're not completely present. Like you're observing life from the outside. Almost like you're watching a movie about your life. Second sign: you have difficulty with emotional regulation. Your emotions seem extreme. You oscillate between euphoria and despair. Small things cause large reactions. You can't calm yourself down. It's like a switch flips, and suddenly everything is overwhelming. Third sign: you have dysfunctional attachment patterns. Either you cling desperately, fearing abandonment, or you avoid intimacy, fearing engulfment, or you swing between the two, confusing yourself and others. It's a constant push and pull, a dance of need and fear. Fourth sign: you have chronic tension in your body. Aches and pains with no medical explanation. A jaw clenched, shoulders tense, difficulty breathing deeply. Your body carries what your mind can't remember. It's a silent scream trapped beneath the surface. Fifth sign: you feel like an imposter. No matter how much success you have, you always feel they'll discover you're not who you seem to be. that deep down you don't really exist, that you're just faking it until you're found out. Sixth sign, you seek intense experiences, drugs, sex, risk, drama, anything to feel alive, because deep down there's a numbness that the normal can't penetrate. You're chasing a feeling, trying to fill a hole that can't be filled with external things. If you identified with several of these signs, know that you're not alone and that there are ways to access and heal these wounds. Millions of people worldwide carry these marks. Most don't even know it. They spend their whole lives fighting symptoms without understanding the cause. You now know, and that changes everything. Awareness is the first step towards any transformation. Now let me tell you about approaches that work. First, an important warning. Not all therapy is the same. Not every therapist understands pre-verbal wounds. Many use approaches that work well for later traumas, but don't reach what happened before language. They're trying to fix a foundation with tools meant for the roof. If you've already tried therapy and it didn't work, it doesn't mean you can't be helped. It might mean the approach was wrong. The first approach is somatic therapy. Since these wounds are in the body, you need to work with the body. Therapies like somatic experiencing, EMDR, and other body-based approaches can access what traditional talk therapy doesn't reach. It's about bypassing the thinking mind and going straight to the source. It's not about talking, it's about feeling, about allowing the body to complete processes that were left incomplete in childhood, about releasing the energy that's been trapped inside. The second approach is working with attachment, finding relationships that offer what was missing. It could be a therapist, it could be a group, it could be a partner who understands, someone who can provide a secure base. It's not about replacing your parents. It's about having corrective experiences. Experiences of being seen, attended to, respected. Experiences that rewrite the original pattern, creating new blueprints for connection. The third approach is practicing regulation, learning to calm yourself down, breathing techniques, meditation, yoga, any practice that helps you reconnect with your body and regulate your nervous system. It's like learning to tune your own instrument. What should have been learned in childhood can be learned later. The brain is plastic. New patterns can be created. You're essentially reparenting yourself, teaching yourself the skills you never learned. The fourth approach is self-compassion. Many people with early wounds are extremely hard on themselves. The internal critical voice is relentless, like a drill sergeant constantly tearing you down. Learning to treat yourself with kindness, especially in difficult moments, is an essential part of healing. It's like becoming the mom or dad you needed, offering yourself the unconditional love you never received. Carl Jung said that healing narcissistic wounds is the deepest work there is, because it's rebuilding the very foundation of your being. You're essentially rebuilding your house from the ground up. It's not fast, it's not easy, it's not linear. There are advances and setbacks and moments of hope and moments of despair, but it's possible. People who have done this work describe a profound transformation. Not that the problems disappear, but that the relationship with them changes. The emptiness begins to fill. The existential loneliness diminishes. Life begins to have color. It's like finally seeing the world in high definition, and that's worth every moment of pain in the process. Now, one last reflection. If you've made it this far, you probably recognize something of yourself in this video. You probably felt that sensation of finally having a name for something you always knew but could never express. That's already the beginning of healing. Awareness is the first step. You can't heal what you don't see. Now you see. The next step is yours. It could be seeking therapy. It could be researching more. It could be simply allowing yourself to feel what this video awakened. Whatever the next step, know that you're not alone. Millions of people carry these same wounds, and thousands have already found paths of healing. Now let me give you some practical tools to start. The first exercise is the anchoring practice. When you feel anxiety or panic for no apparent reason, your body is probably reacting to a pre-verbal memory. It's like an echo from the past. In that moment, use your senses to anchor yourself in the present. Look around and name 5 things you see. Listen to 4 different sounds. Touch 3 different surfaces. Smell 2 smells. Taste 1 flavor. This brings your nervous system back to the present. It reminds the body that you're no longer a helpless baby, that you're an adult with resources, with the ability to take care of yourself. You're reassuring your inner child. The second exercise is regulating breathing. Breathing is the bridge between conscious and unconscious, between mind and body. You can use it to access states that words can't reach. It's a direct line to your nervous system. When you feel tension or disconnection, sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Inhale, counting to 4. Hold, counting to 4. Exhale, counting to 6. Repeat for several minutes. This breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system. It signals to the body that everything is okay, that you're safe. It's like pressing the reset button. With regular practice, you begin to create new patterns of regulation. Patterns that should have been created in childhood. You're training your body to respond differently. The third exercise is dialogue with the body. Sit in silence. Close your eyes. Scan your body from head to toe. Notice where there is tension, pain, discomfort. When you find a point of tension, ask mentally, what are you holding? Don't expect an answer in words. It may come as a sensation, an image, an emotion. It's about listening to what your body has to say. This exercise opens a channel of communication with the parts of you that don't have language. Over time, you begin to understand what your body is trying to tell you. The fourth exercise is the search for moments of regulation. Pay attention throughout the day to moments when you feel calm, present, regulated. It could be petting an animal. It could be basking in the sunshine. It could be listening to a specific song. Note these moments. Cultivate them. Create more opportunities for them to happen. You are teaching your nervous system that regulation is possible, that not everything is danger, that there is peace. Now, let me tell you about something very important. The role of relationships in healing. Carl Jung always emphasized that relational wounds need relational healing. You were wounded in a relationship. You need to be healed in a relationship. This doesn't mean you need a romantic partner. It could be a close friend. It could be a therapist. It could be a support group. The important thing is to have experiences of being seen, attended to, embraced. Experiences that contradict what happened in early childhood. These experiences are called corrective experiences. They rewrite the original pattern. They show the nervous system that relationships can be safe. In the beginning, this is very difficult. If you were wounded in relationships, your nervous system automatically distrusts relationships. You might sabotage closeness without realizing it. You might interpret caring as manipulation. You might run away exactly when you should stay. This is normal. It's part of the process. Healing isn't linear. The important thing is to not give up. Keep trying, even when you fail. Keep opening yourself up, even when it hurts. Each attempt, even the ones that fail, teaches your nervous system something. It teaches that you can survive the pain, that you won't die from vulnerability. And little by little, trust begins to grow. Now let me talk about a common mistake. Many people try to heal early childhood wounds alone. They read books, watch videos, do exercises. All of this helps, but it isn't enough. Relational wounds need relational healing. You can't completely heal yourself alone. You need another human being. This isn't weakness. It's how the psyche works. We are social beings. We were made for connection, and it's precisely because the wound was relational that trying to heal alone doesn't fully work. It's like trying to lift yourself up by your own bootstraps. So, if you are avoiding professional help or human connection, question that. It's probably the wound talking. The part of you that learned that you can't trust anyone. That part needs to be gently challenged. It needs to have the chance to discover that it was wrong. Now, a word about deadlines. Many people want to know how long healing takes. They want a timeline. They want planning. I understand, but it doesn't work that way. Early childhood wounds took years to form. They won't heal in weeks or months. We are talking about years of work, not constant, intense work, but regular, consistent work over a long period of time. This may seem disheartening, but it's also liberating. You don't need to solve everything now. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to heal quickly. Each small step counts. Each moment of awareness, each experience of regulation, each authentic connection. Over the years, these small moments accumulate. And one day you look back and realize how much you've changed. Not because you did something dramatic, because you continued day after day, year after year. You too can find. Until the next video. And remember, what happened in early childhood wasn't your fault. You were a baby. You had no choice, no defense, no way to change anything. But now you're an adult, and you can choose to heal. The responsibility for healing is yours, and that's the best news there is, because it means that you have power. The power to rewrite your story, to fill the void, to finally be seen. Use that power.